There's a good chance that over the weekend you saw footage that might look like what we're about to show you. At the St. Louis Justice Center, what is being termed an uprising. Take a look at this footage. So you can see there blankets being draped out in a rope, sort of the universal symbol that someone needs help. But there were fires that were lit, windows were broken, obviously. This is the fourth incident at this particular prison, and there's a reason for it. It's not just random, although we don't know exactly how it began. And there's a lot more footage out there. I don't want to glorify and like there's a message behind here more so than a couch being burned or whatever. I don't want to glorify that, but Missouri House of Representatives Representative Rasheen Aldridge Jr. said those in connection with the protests had two demands: end cash bail and resume speedy and fair court hearings that have been delayed because of the pandemic. She goes on to say that detainees are being held without trial and unable to pay their bail, causing a system that disproportionately puts poor and black people behind bars. If we care about justice, these systems need to change. And this is really like the ultimate collision of multiple different unjust elements of our system, that you have cash bail, that can exist in the first place, that you can be held for months and months and months if you can't make that bail, and that might be dragged out because of a pandemic, that also while you're being held, you have a much better chance of getting and possibly dying from COVID. None of these things individually are acceptable. The confluence of them should be a national outrage, and it's not. And so it's time that there's a focus on it. And these sorts of uprisings, chaos or whatever, does actually put the focus on these issues at long last.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about boycotts earlier. I mean, they're like prison hunger strikes, boycotts, so-called riots have been effective, because they actually get national attention for as, salacious or as like, if something's on fire, then we have to cover it. Yeah. Otherwise, we don't talk about the incredibly broken and inhumane criminal justice system in which people are dying every single day, pandemic or not. Mm-hmm. But the pandemic specifically has been, are prisoners being prioritized for the vaccine? I don't think so.
Imagine if they were, what the next 6 months of Fox News would be.
Absolutely, and these are people who have not been convicted. These are detainees. This could be unpaid parking tickets, right? Like this could be like, who knows what they are, right? We've got horrible cash bond systems as well in this country. I don't know the laws in Missouri specifically, but yeah, these are folks who cannot pay their bail and now are being in incredibly unsafe situations and being held there. So good on them for doing this. And again, this is when the only time like media outlets actually cover it, when we should be really trying to dismantle these systems altogether. I mean, my brother's a public school teacher and he's going back to school soon, mm-hmm. and his class is gonna be like 10 people, 10 kids. And honestly, that's the way classrooms should always be. It's like few kids rather than 25 to 30 kids in a crammed classroom. And you see the same thing in a system like the jail system. Not only are people being held unjustly when they can't pay, but also they're already in cramped quarters, right? And they're already being held against their will. Is it okay to hold people, to have so much overcrowding in jails and prisons across the country, in detention centers as well? Is that humane? I mean, I feel like the pandemic is also really helping us think about what's just a slower burning mm-hmm. version of inhumanity.
Exactly. Now, I want to read just a couple of numbers for you. This is information that we covered back in December when the study came out. We've been talking about the conditions in the pandemic during the previous spikes. And let's just note that nothing was done, basically. Like at some point, movies will be made, documentaries, books will be written about all of the failures. And there were many failures in America's response to the pandemic. But what we willingly allowed to happen in state and federal prisons needs to be a part of that conversation.
Yes.
1 in every 5 state and federal prisoners in the US tested positive for the coronavirus. This is as of December, by the way. We all remember how terrible December and January were. People are still, we've got more than 70,000 cases a day now. So these numbers are outdated, but it's what we have. That is a rate more than 4 times as high as the general population. In some states, more than half of all of the prisoners were infected. At least 275,000 prisoners as of December, again, with more than 1,700 having died, a massive death toll. And Homer Venters, former chief medical officer at Rikers, which is one of the places where initially there were lots of concerns about this, and then everything that was predicted happened, and we just sort of moved on as a country, said that number is a vast undercount. I still encounter prisons and jails where when people get sick, not only are they not tested, but they don't receive care, so they get much sicker than need be. So that 275,000 infections, those are not the number of infections, they're the number of tested infections. Tons of people just got sick, maybe were asymptomatic, or maybe suffered with it and will suffer the consequences of long COVID for potentially the rest of their life. But their lives were valued so little that they weren't even tested for it, let alone treated. And this is like with the anti-Asian hate that continues to this day, something that has been talked about from the very beginning, but it was like a monumental task to get people to even pretend to care about it. Anything having to do with prisoners in America, nobody cares what happens. And if you advocate for them to have even basic human dignity or rights, you will be pitched as some sort of villain, in fact, that you want them to get medical care or be able to participate in politics, even insofar as voting, all of that. And that's just what we allow in America. There's almost no debate over it even at this point.
But they're all mass murderers, John. They're all
every one of them.
Every single one of them is a homicidal murder. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, those guys get taken to Burger King, and they probably have a special cell all for themselves. Isn't that funny? I feel like the more dangerous criminals do get like different. I don't know. Aren't they like separated off? Maybe I'm being crazy.
I mean, there's
about that.
There's maximum versus minimum security prisons and stuff like that. Sure.
Yeah. Anywho, yeah. It's ridiculous. There's been a lot of good reporting on this. So I think you're absolutely right. We need a reckoning, and it's part of accountability for all of the deaths that have occurred under COVID, and under the previous administration specifically. And this is definitely part of that.
Agreed.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.